All right, so today we're diving deep into the world of Stoicism.
Okay.
With a twist.
Yeah.
This article, Who is Seneca? Inside the mind of the world's most interesting Stoic, it paints a picture of this guy Seneca
Mm-hmm.
that is so far from what you typically imagine when you think of an ancient, like simple, ascetic philosopher.
Yeah. It
And
was anything but.
yeah, he was a man of action,
Why?
a politician,
And rich.
and get this, one of the wealthiest people in the entire Roman Empire.
Yeah.
So, I mean, talk about a contradiction now.
Yeah.
A Stoic philosopher rolling in riches.
Yeah, how do you reconcile that?
It's like, how does that even work?
Yeah, well, that's what makes him so interesting
Yeah.
to study and to understand. So to do that,
Okay.
we need to kind of like look at his life and his philosophy,
Okay.
starting with like
Yeah.
Stoicism itself.
Stoicism 101.
Hmm.
What are the core principles that someone like Seneca would have adhered to?
Okay, so Stoicism says that virtue is the sole good.
So things like wealth, health, reputation, all those things are just indifferent.
Mm-hmm.
It means they could be beneficial, they could be harmful. It depends how you use them.
Okay.
And reason plays a central role too.
Okay.
Like Stoics believed in using logic
Mm-hmm.
to understand the world and to control their emotions.
So it's not that they completely reject
Yeah.
wealth or pleasure or anything like that.
Yeah,
It's just that they don't see those things
Right.
as the ultimate source of happiness.
exactly. And they also believe in accepting what you can't control, which is a lot.
Right.
You can't control death, misfortune,
Yeah.
other people's actions.
So how does Seneca
Yeah.
embody these ideals while navigating, this crazy world of Roman politics? I mean, he was born over 2,000 years ago
I know it's a long time.
in Spain
Yeah.
and ended up right in the thick of things in Rome.
Well, he was front row to some of the most
That-
dramatic events in the Roman Empire.
He was exiled under Emperor Claudius,
Uh-huh.
and supposedly it was because of an affair with the emperor's niece.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And then he got brought back to tutor the future emperor, Nero.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah, talk about a tough student.
So you mentioned earlier that Stoics are all about controlling emotions.
Uh-huh.
I can only imagine the patience that Seneca must have needed to deal with someone like Nero.
Yeah, who knows how much his Stoic beliefs
Right.
really influenced how he acted in that situation.
Yeah.
But one thing about Seneca that sets him apart
Okay.
is that he was a pragmatist. He borrowed ideas from other schools of thought,
Oh, okay.
like Epicureanism,
Uh-huh.
that was about finding pleasure in moderation.
So he was kind of like adapting and
Yeah.
applying different philosophies,
Yeah, finding what worked.
picking and choosing
Such
that
a
would work
word.
for him.
Yeah, and that's reflected in his writing,
Okay.
which is really cool because it's still so relevant today.
Speaking of writing, the article highlights on the shortness of life. What's the main takeaway from that one?
Basically, we're not actually short on time.
Okay.
We just waste it.
We're bad at using it.
Yes.
Seneca was like a time management guru.
Back then,
Way ahead of his
it
time.
ain't slowly.
So he believed we should really focus on living fully in the present moment and using our time to develop virtue and knowledge.
Yeah,
Okay, I mean, that resonates so much, even today.
I know. It's so easy to get caught up
Oh my,
in
yeah.
the busyness and
Yeah,
forget what matters.
totally.
His letters from a Stoic
Yeah.
are like timeless advice columns.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, like how to deal
So
with
real.
with grief and anger and wealth and success.
Wow.
Yeah.
What do you think it is about his writing that just makes it so relatable,
Mhm.
even after all this time?
Well, I think it's because he's willing to address the messiness of human experience.
Yeah.
He doesn't shy away from our struggles,
Right.
our imperfections.
Yeah.
He's like a fellow traveler on the path of life.
He's not just like up on a moral high ground being like,
No,
you should do this.
he gets it.
Yeah.
He's been there.
More like a wise friend who's seen it all.
Exactly.
Okay, so let's address the elephant in the room.
Okay.
Seneca's wealth.
All right.
How on earth did he square being one of the richest men in Rome with his Stoic principles?
Yeah, that's the big question, right?
It is.
But remember, Stoics saw wealth as an indifferent. It's not good or bad in itself. It's all about how it's used.
Okay.
And the article quotes Nassim Taleb, who says that Seneca saw wealth as a tool,
Okay.
not a master.
Oh.
He was willing to use it and to let it go.
So it's more about the attitude you have towards wealth.
Exactly.
Not about like rejecting it completely, just not letting
It
it
didn't control you.
control you.
Just find your worth.
Right.
Yeah.
This idea of mastering wealth.
Uh-huh.
This is a big theme in his work.
Okay.
And it gets at how he balanced his wealth and his philosophical beliefs. So what did mastering wealth actually mean for Seneca?
Okay.
Like beyond just not being materialistic.
Yeah, it goes deeper than that.
Okay.
He believed that true wealth wasn't about material possessions, but about living a virtuous life.
Okay.
So,
which ties back into that Stoic principle of virtue as the sole good.
exactly.
So for him, mastering wealth wasn't just about how much money you had.
Right.
It was about how you used it to live a meaningful life.
Exactly.
And that has such big implications for how we think about wealth today.
Okay. So, how did he put this into practice?
So,
did he just, like, give all his money away?
Well, not exactly. He believed wealth could be used for good, but it could also be a distraction and even lead to corruption.
Yeah.
So he thought you should have a detached relationship with wealth.
Okay.
Enjoy the benefits, but don't be enslaved by it.
Okay, now this is where it gets tricky.
Because it's easy to talk about detachment.
Right.
But how do you actually live that out?
Yeah, especially when you're surrounded by opulence.
Yeah, you're living the life of luxury.
Yeah, and that's a question we'll have to look at as we get deeper into his life and his writings.
Right.
It's really about what it means to be a Stoic. Not just in ancient Rome, but today. So Seneca's life is this really interesting case study.
Yeah.
In, like, how do you grapple with this question? You know, here he is in this super excessive Roman society.
Right.
But advocating for being detached from wealth.
Did he actually live up to his own teachings?
Right. It's like...
That's the big question.
It's one thing to, like, admire his philosophy.
Yeah.
But did he walk the walk?
Yeah. And the article actually talks about this.
It does.
And mentions some of the criticism that Seneca got, especially about his relationship with Nero.
Right. Some historians say he was a hypocrite.
Oh, wow.
Like benefiting from Nero's tyranny while talking about Stoic virtue.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of hard to swallow that, considering some of the things that Nero did.
Yeah.
How could a Stoic philosopher who preached virtue and reason be complicit in a regime like that?
Well, we have to remember we're looking back at this with our modern perspective.
Right.
The article mentions that some scholars have a more, like, nuanced view.
Okay.
They say Seneca might have seen himself as a moderating influence on Nero.
Oh, okay.
Trying to guide him to be a better ruler.
So not like a willing participant in Nero's excesses, more like trying to lessen the harm.
Right. Moral damage control.
Damage control, yeah.
We can't really know for sure what was going on in Seneca's head.
Right.
But he did admit his own imperfections.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he wrote, "I am not a wise man, and I never will be."
That's really honest. It makes him seem more human.
It does.
Not so much like preaching from on high.
No.
Maybe that's part of the reason his legacy is so complicated.
Yeah.
So maybe we shouldn't be so quick to judge him for not perfectly living out his own philosophy.
Yeah. After all, he was human.
Yeah.
Living in a really messy world.
A world where it's hard to always know what the right thing is.
Exactly.
So maybe the real lesson is in his struggle.
Yeah.
His effort to be good in a system that's full of corruption.
Yeah. It shows us that trying to be virtuous is a journey.
Not a destination.
Not like you just arrive.
Yeah, you're constantly working at it.
It's ongoing.
It reminds me of that Stoic idea of accepting what you can't control. Seneca couldn't control what Nero did.
Right.
But he could try to live a good life himself.
Yeah, that's so powerful.
Yeah.
Because it shows how Stoicism is relevant to us.
Totally.
We all face situations where we feel powerless. Like we're up against injustice or unfairness.
So instead of getting all caught up in things we can't change, Seneca's telling us to focus on our own actions.
Yeah, and our own pursuit of virtue.
Yeah, okay, so that leads us back to those 3 lessons from the article.
Right.
Finding a role model, mastering wealth, and fighting our egos.
These are like tools to help us deal with tough stuff.
Okay, let's unpack those a bit.
Okay.
What did Seneca say about finding a role model?
He thought having a good example of virtue to follow could keep you on the right path.
Okay.
Help you make good choices.
So does it have to be like some big historical figure?
Not necessarily.
Okay.
He told his friend Lucilius to choose someone whose way of life, as well as words, and whose very face as mirroring the character that lies behind it, have won your approval.
Okay.
Be always pointing him out to yourself either as your guardian or as your model.
So it could be someone closer to home?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
It could be someone you know.
Yeah.
A family member or a mentor.
Even a fictional character.
Yeah, totally.
As long as they embody the values you're looking for.
Exactly.
Okay, so you find someone who inspires you to be better, and you kind of keep them in mind as a guide.
It's like having a compass.
Okay, now what about mastering wealth?
Okay.
For those of us who aren't, Roman emperors.
Right, but remember, mastering wealth isn't just about the money.
Okay.
It's your mindset.
Yeah.
About material things.
Right.
Knowing that happiness doesn't come from just having more stuff.
He said that great line.
Yeah.
For the wise man regards wealth as a slave, the fool as a master.
I love that one.
So how do we apply that to our lives today?
Well, start by looking at your spending.
Okay.
Ask yourself, do I really need this?
Yeah.
Or am I just trying to impress someone?
Right.
Or fill some kind of void?
Yeah, and appreciate what you already have.
Yes, gratitude is so important.
And focus on experiences and relationships. Not things. It's about shifting your priorities.
Exactly.
Okay, last lesson. The tough one. Fighting our egos.
Oh, yeah, this is a big one.
Our egos are tricky.
So tricky.
Always making us doubt ourselves, compare ourselves to others.
Yeah, they want that external validation.
So how do we fight something that's like so deeply ingrained in us?
Well, Seneca says to be honest with yourself.
Okay.
Like, really acknowledge your flaws.
Yeah, that's hard.
It is.
But I guess it's necessary.
It is if you want to grow.
And be open to feedback.
Yeah, even if you don't like it.
Oh, even when it's hard.
Yeah, because it's a chance to learn.
Remember that quote.
Yeah.
We indulge ourselves so greatly that we want to be prized for a virtue, which is the opposite of our behavior.
Ouch, right.
Yeah.
Makes you think.
So we got to check ourselves,
Yeah.
make sure we're actually living according to our values.
And finally, shift your focus inward.
Okay.
Not on what other people think.
Do things for the right reasons.
Yeah.
Not for the applause.
Exactly.
So even Seneca, with all his wisdom, he was still working on this.
Yeah, he struggled too.
It just shows you this pursuit of virtue. It's a lifelong thing.
It's a journey.
Not a destination.
We're all on the path.
And you mentioned earlier, Seneca was a pragmatist.
Yeah.
He was open to ideas from different sources.
He was.
That seems like a good lesson, too.
It is.
Be open-minded.
Yeah.
Challenge your own assumptions.
Don't get stuck in one way of thinking.
It's not about rigidly following any one philosophy.
No.
It's about finding what helps you.
Yeah. Finding wisdom.
Live a good life.
A meaningful life.
Yeah.
That's what Seneca's all about.
And his writings are like this roadmap for navigating life.
They remind us that happiness comes from within.
Not from outside stuff.
Right.
But from our choices and actions.
Yeah.
And I think that's so important today.
I know. It's like the opposite of what we hear all the time.
Yeah, we're bombarded with messages telling us to buy more.
Yeah, to achieve more.
Be more.
More, more, more.
But Seneca says true fulfillment comes from something else.
Yeah, from living a virtuous life.
Mastering your desires.
Yeah.
Focusing on what truly matters.
Sure.
So as we're finishing up this deep dive into Seneca, let's think about these 3 lessons.
Okay.
Finding a role model, mastering wealth, and fighting your ego.
How can you apply them to your life?
Yeah, how can you make them your own?
It's something to think about.
It is.
As you go about your day.
Yeah, Seneca's wisdom is just as powerful today as it was back then.
It's a gift.
It is a gift.
That we can all use.
Seneca's ideas are so applicable to our lives today.
Yeah, it's amazing how timeless they are.
Even though they were written so long ago.
I know.
So in this last part of our deep dive, let's try to connect those ancient ideas to modern living. How can we actually apply these Stoic principles to the everyday challenges we face?
Good question.
I mean, we're not exactly dealing with Roman emperors.
Right.
So we've got those 3 lessons from Seneca.
Yeah.
Finding a role model, mastering wealth, and fighting our egos.
So let's see how those could translate into action.
Okay, so finding a role model. We talked about this before, but how do you actually choose one?
Well, first,
think
about the qualities you admire in other people.
Okay.
You know, like resilience, kindness, honesty, that kind of thing.
So I got my list of qualities.
Okay. Look for those qualities in people around you. It could be someone you know, a family member, Or maybe someone you admire from afar.
Okay.
A historical figure, an author, you know.
I love that it can be anyone.
Yeah.
As long as they inspire you.
Exactly.
And remember Seneca's advice? Keep that role model in mind, like a guiding star.
Yeah.
Yeah.
To help you through tough situations.
Okay. Now, mastering wealth.
Right.
Again, most of us aren't Roman emperors.
True.
So how does that apply?
Well, it's about how you think about possessions.
Irk.
And remember, true happiness doesn't come from just having more stuff.
Seneca said, "For the wise man regards wealth as a slave, the fool as a master."
Such a good quote.
So how do we master our wealth?
Be mindful of your spending.
Okay.
Ask yourself, do I really need this? Or am I just trying to fill a hole?
Right.
And appreciate what you already have.
Yeah, gratitude.
Yes.
And focus on experiences, relationships.
Those are the things that really matter.
Not the latest, gadget or whatever.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. The last lesson, and maybe the most challenging, fighting our egos.
It's a constant battle.
It is.
Our egos are always making us doubt ourselves and compare ourselves to others.
They love the external validation.
Oh, yeah.
So how do we even begin to fight that?
Seneca says, be really honest with yourself.
Okay.
Admit your flaws.
Yeah.
Your mistakes.
It's not easy.
It's not.
But I guess it's how you grow.
It is.
And be open to feedback.
Yes, even when it's hard to hear.
It's a chance to learn.
Yeah.
Remember what he said.
Yeah.
We indulge ourselves so greatly that we want to be praised for a virtue, which is the opposite of our behavior.
That's a tough one.
It is.
That is true.
So we got to check ourselves, make sure we're actually living our values.
And finally, focus on internal satisfaction.
Okay.
Not on what other people think.
Do things for the right reasons.
Yeah, because it matters to you.
This has been such a fascinating look at Seneca.
He's such an interesting figure.
He is.
So much to learn from him.
What's the one big takeaway you want listeners to remember?
I hope they see that Seneca offers timeless wisdom.
Yeah.
That's still relevant today.
Yeah. Even though he lived centuries ago.
Even with all his wealth and political connections.
Yeah, he still had insights.
He did.
Into living a good life.
Yeah, he reminds us that happiness comes from our choices and our actions.
Not from things outside our control.
Right.
So powerful.
And it's so important today.
So as you go about your day, think about how you can apply these lessons from Seneca.
Even small steps can make a difference.
Finding a role model, mastering your wealth,
and fighting that ego.
Seneca's wisdom is a gift.
It is.
It's up to us to use it.
To make it our own.